What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Jenks Summer Podcast. Today, we got a bonus episode for you guys. Having a special guest on, Ruud from the Netherlands. He was the winner of our podcast Fantasy Football League. We're going to be having him on quick, talk about what it's like to be an international NFL fan. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Jenks and the Hammer Podcast. Bringing you the latest NFL news and insights from the perspectives of two die-hard fans. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some football talk with Jenks and the Hammer.
And here we go!
All right, guys, so we're bringing in our guest for the episode, Ruud de Peijper. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'll have him pronounce it in just a moment. But basically, he won our fantasy football league for all of you guys that were in our subscriber league. We kind of were trying to connect with everyone individually in that league. And basically we said we get the winner a jersey and then possibly have him on the podcast if they wanted to. And Ruud gladly said he would want to come on. So introducing Ruud real quick. Welcome, Ruud, to the pod.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So
Coming on.
for everyone that doesn't know, real quick, Ruud is from the Netherlands. So he's an international fan, which is something that's really interesting to us. So we figured we'd bring him in and basically talk to him about that. So starting off, Ruud, first question I had was, when and why did you become an NFL fan in the Netherlands, considering American football is not really the majority sport that's watched in that country?
No, in Europe, just regular football is the biggest. Everyone wants to watch Messi, the Premier League and such. Dutch league is a little smaller, but we have Ajax and PSV. I don't know if you know the teams, but they play in the Champions League most of the time. And I support PSV. And it actually started right before the COVID pandemic. A lot of the sports were canceled here. Also, like pro football, that was the only season that they didn't finish here. So that was quite a bummer. But in that season, there's not a lot of news about the NFL here. But they were talking about, I saw a news article about Brady with the Bucks. That was the year 2019 to 2020, I guess.
Yeah.
And I read about it, and there was like a story of, can he do it again? And he was just in the playoffs, I think, but we can't see those matches here. But the Super Bowl is like the only game that you can watch on certain, like BBC, I think we can see it. But it's in the night for us, and I was not really into it, so I started viewing it after the day after or something, and I was like, what the heck is this sport, man? I didn't understand the rules. Why are they getting 6 points? Why are they getting 1 point or 3 points? When do they kick? When is the ball turned over and such? It was so different than football. Football is just, if you score, you get 1 point, and it's much easier to digest if you look at it. So then I started looking into it, but the season was over. And then I wanted to root for a team. And that's when I ended up with the Broncos. That year was quite different because they had Bridgewater as QB then. They won the first 6 games. They won the first 3 practice games and the first 3 season games. And I was like, oh, damn, this is a good team. And then they just sucked for like 2 years.
Good for you, though, for sticking with them.
Yeah, as a new fan, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I started digging into the history, and I watched a lot of the Peyton Manning era, and I was like, whoa, what kind of team is this, man? This looks like a really good team, just not at the top anymore. But from now, it's just like a middle of the pack, maybe like lower than that. But there are things are looking up some way, but they managed to find themselves in a quite difficult situation right now.
Yeah. So on top of that, now you're a Denver Broncos fan. Do you watch the games? How difficult is it with the time zone difference? How do you watch them?
It's actually quite easy. You have like NFL Game Pass here, and NFL Game Pass has all the coverage plus Red Zone plus like NFL films and such. So it's much more easy to get for us. but
Yeah.
then they changed it to DAZN or DAZN. I don't know if you know that.
It's like they usually just have boxing here on
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they merged those two last year, and the app is not that great, but it still has the same coverage. So I am able to watch like full games, red zone, which I like the most actually.
Mhm.
But the Broncos games are most of the time at 2 o'clock at night for me. So like, if they play against Kansas City or LA, it's most of the time at night. If they play at home, it's like 10:30 sometimes. But I mostly watch the away games. Those are like the only ones that start at 7 for
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah, because I think you are 6 hours ahead, so I can definitely see why it's a little bit tougher. And I would say, so you said earlier that the playoff games really aren't on. Does the Game Pass, or not the Game Pass, or the kind of the merge, does that include the playoffs now as well? I know you said when you first started it wasn't really on at all.
yeah, and well, Game Pass is like 200 euros or something. So I
Mhm.
didn't even know that existed then. Like regular games are not on TV. There you can't watch them. Not even like highlights or something. They won't show it anywhere. The Super Bowl, it gets shown because there's a lot of attention to it, and like the advertisements, the commercials, those are quite interesting for like the regular
Mhm.
media to watch. So that's the only game that is allowed on regular broadcast. So if you have to go for the regular games during the regular season, then you have to buy extra stuff. But I like that they made it quite easy for Europeans to get, because how is the I heard you like to have to buy all the kind of different packages if you want to watch all the games in the US. How does that work for you guys?
So technically now there's the NFL Sunday Ticket, which is kind of like the pass for you over there. Like it's basically all of the games, and then if you want Red Zone, that's separate, I believe, and then as well as there's also like NFL Plus, which is like something completely different that gives you like the special coverage, NFL films, and everything like that you discussed. So it's kind of, yeah, like three separate things. But I think most people usually just end up getting the Sunday Ticket or
Yeah.
Red Zone, kind of depending on preference. Because like you said, the NFL Red Zone is pretty sick. Like you're able to watch all the games kind of at once, depending on where the team's at on the field. So it actually works out pretty well. Basically, as a Broncos fan, we see you wearing the Broncos fan shirt here. We know you're a big fan. It was even your fantasy football team name. So, from you said you've only been a fan for really 3-4 years. What's your favorite moment as a Broncos fan so far?
Oh, that's a difficult question. There were not a lot of ups
Yeah,
during the
lots of
last
downs for the
few
Broncos. Yeah.
lots of downs. Yeah. Well, if I have to pick, it's not really a moment, but like the 5 game winning streak, man,
Mhm.
that was incredible for me to witness that. You actually felt a kind of courage, or the you felt like the motivation of the team was really high at that time. But that changed, and it went back to what it was when they were 1-5. So
Yeah, for the last
I
one.
would say that was really entertaining to see, and like certain catches of Cortland Sutton this year, I believe should be in the top 10, 15 plays of this season. Honestly, the difficult thing is that it didn't really matter in the end, but he was playing lights out.
He was.
Yeah.
Whenever you threw him the ball, he would most of the times come down with it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he feels like a tight end with speed somehow. He's quite big, so when he has like a, what's it called, like a
Contested
safety
catch,
or
or
uh,
yeah,
yeah,
safety catch.
contested catch, he's always bigger than them, so he can get
Goes right
on
over
top
the
of them
top.
somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on top of that, is he your favorite player?
No, I sent you guys my favorite player. It's Alex Singleton. I think he's underrated, because like stats are, they, maybe we can talk about it later, but stats just say a certain number, but they don't say like the energy that they bring.
Mhm.
Alex Singleton, he goes lights out every play. I think he's the motor of the defense. and it shows people rile up when he's tackling. He has the most tackles. I think he has he's 5th in tackles overall this season. But there people blame him on that's only because the running back is already 8 yards in or something, and I don't pay attention to that. I think he's a great player. And I hope he stays around for long. He has 1-year contract, I guess. And he's pairing up with Josie Jewell, and I think they may cut him this season because he's he's a free agent. So that will be difficult to keep him, I guess. But that's all. The Broncos really screwed themselves over with paying Russell the idiot contract that they gave him before he even played a snap. So that was one thing where I was like, damn. And that also happened way before the new regime came in, like Walter Penner came in. I think they're doing great stuff for the Broncos right now. Also Sean Payton. There were a lot of doubts about him. I remember when they lost to the Jets, they were like, oh man, he's even worse than Hackett. But I think he brought a winning mentality in the Broncos, even though they're not a winning team right now. But I can feel it's changed. It's much more maybe military-like.
Discipline on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, so going back to the Russell Wilson trade, what was your first reaction when you saw that trade happen?
Honestly, I didn't know who he was. So then I looked into it, and I was like, wow, he seems really good. He had an injury the season before, but then some news started to slip out that he had a whole team behind him. He wanted an own office, and then I started interviews with him. Those are are you guys watching the interviews?
I saw
other teams as well.
When he came over, I saw a few of them.
Yeah.
Those are so cringe, man. It's
it's kind of funny. Even as a new NFL fan, you could recognize just the way he was carrying himself was a little cringe, and I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like he wants to portray himself as like a Superman or something. He wants to be the ideal guy for everyone. So even when he's screwed over by Sean Payton, he's still being nice. And you can be like, I'm not happy with the situation, but he was, no, I'm positive, looking to God for what's my next purpose and such. I don't like that. That's just fake to me.
Yeah.
He's a fake personality to me. He's not real.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what I really don't like about him. And I wish they would have had someone with a real character, you know.
Yeah. So going back to being a fan of the Netherlands, would you say is there a large NFL fan base over there? Or not really.
No.
Not at all.
They had a team in Amsterdam years ago, apparently. And I have one colleague who was deep into the American sports before me, already for 10 years or so. And he said that it was getting traction, but football is 50 times bigger than American football. So that is quite difficult. Also, I was looking to see where they would show the Super Bowl and such, but there's no
barely anywhere.
No, you have to watch it at home.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting.
So when you're wearing your Denver Broncos T-shirt and the jersey we're gonna get you when you're walking around town, no one knows what this guy's wearing. What is this? Broncos.
I think you went to Italy, right? With where you saw some NFL players as well.
Yeah.
No one bats an eye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's why they're just walking around freely. They're just kind of no one even knows who we are. That's interesting. Yeah. So you don't really there's not really a sports bar or anything like that. I know in different countries, I know when they played the London game, everything like that, there were a few sports bars that kind of hosted everyone. There's not really that sort of thing in the Netherlands at all for you guys.
No, yeah, there are sports bars, but they won't show NFL.
NFL.
It's football, tennis, like racing, Formula One.
Racing.
The
Yeah.
Dutch Max Verstappen is probably the best race car driver at the moment, and
Mhm.
those things are big here. But that's about it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess that's basically it for all of our football related questions. One question that we do always ask our guests, and I know you've watched a few episodes, you might know, but we try to ask everyone, what's your favorite TV show or movie, whichever you really have a preference of. So if you're a TV show guy, what's your favorite TV show, and if you're a movie guy, what's your favorite movie?
Like in general,
In
that's a
general,
broad,
yeah,
broad
yeah, in
question.
general.
Um, Honestly, for years, I would say Breaking Bad was my favorite show. Um, that show was just incredible. I did some cinematography myself when I
Hmm.
was in college, and to see what Vince Gilligan can do, it's amazing, and how they're able to keep people engaged for such a long time is just incredible. If I look at films, it's also like maybe the weird films like Memento, for instance. I don't know if you've guys seen that
I've
one.
I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. But I know of what you're talking about.
Yeah, it has like a weird premise where where the movie skips back somehow. So
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
from Christian.
Here, I'll
I don't
check
know
real quick. Have
who
you
the director is, but
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna ask if you've
yeah,
watched Better Call Saul, since you liked.
yeah. But I didn't finish it actually. Did you guys
Okay.
see that?
No, not my friend. My friend's been begging me to watch, but I I haven't yet. So I gotta tune into that and finish Breaking Bad. Actually,
You
Yeah,
should
I haven't,
finish
I
it,
haven't,
man.
I haven't, I haven't seen either.
yeah. So
So, what are you guys' favorite movies? And or
mine's probably gotta be this past year was the Iron Claw, the movie that just came out. Big wrestling movie. It was pretty entertaining. And then other than that, I'm a big Marvel guy, and Hammer is as well. I know
hmm.
that. I'm big into the Marvel movies. Are the Marvel movies like well responded to over in the Netherlands, or is that kind of more of American? I'm not sure.
No, that's quite big actually.
Oh yeah.
All those movies receive quite a good attention here in the Netherlands, but I'm personally not into it. It feels for me like if you watch one, you have seen them all. But that's from an outsider's perspective.
Mhm.
I'm not really into superheroes. So would you say they've like milked it out a bit right now with all like every year 4 or 5 of those movies come out? It feels like.
Yeah, Hammer. I mean, I don't know Hammer's thoughts, but I would say I do kind of feel like they've kind of done a little bit too much. Like a few of these movies
Yeah.
were basically just kind of unnecessary. Like the Marvels was all right, but it wasn't great. And then Ant-Man I thought was very disappointing. But yeah, I think they're just trying to put out so many shows and movies instead of just focusing on the quality of them that it kind of ruined a couple of them. So hopefully they turn it around in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Have you seen The Bear?
No.
It's new. It's on Hulu and Disney Plus maybe.
Yeah.
It's
It's a really good
it's
show if you have a
cooking
chance.
show. It's very, very good.
A
It's like
cooking
a
show.
it's like
Yeah, it's not
a
it's like
cooking
it's centered
cooking
around cooking,
drama.
but it's like what would you say, Jenks? I don't know.
It's it technically is considered a comedy, I
Comedy
think.
drama, like it's like a
Yeah,
it's
but
it's very popular over here.
it
It's
won
Okay.
it
yeah,
won, like, a lot of Emmys this year,
yeah.
um, for being, like,
What
best
type of
comedy.
actors are playing in it?
The guy, I don't remember his name, but
Jeremy Allen White.
Jeremy Allen White, he was from Shameless, if you ever watched that, um, and this was, like, his big breakout role since then, so it was
Yeah.
really, like, his kind of the thing that made him very famous. Um, Other than that, not really anyone that's been known. I think they went one of the chefs went somewhere, Hammer. Where was it in Europe that one of the chefs went on, like he got sent to the boat, you remember, in Europe or something like that?
Oh, yeah,
One of the
Marcus. I don't
I
know.
don't think it was the
Yeah.
Netherlands. It might have been, it was somewhere around the Netherlands. I'm blanking, but they showed it like Europe a little bit in as well. It's just a very good show all around. So if you ever get the chance on Hulu, you should watch that as well.
Recommend it.
Okay, nice. I'll note that down.
Yeah, so I think that's all we got for you today, Ruud. I mean, let us know for sure when that jersey gets in. We want to see if you like it, if it actually shipped well, because we've never done I've never shipped anything from international like that, so I don't know if they're actually gonna do it right or anything like that. So let us know.
Yeah,
sure when that
I
comes in.
think it should be good. Don't you guys want to talk about how the fantasy went? Or
Yeah,
Yeah.
surprisingly, Ruud, I'll say this: you were one of the only people that actually really you and maybe 2 to 3 other guys were actually very communicative the whole time, and actually stayed basically in focus on the fantasy league. And you were, I think, what were you, the 7th seed, 6th seed, something like
Yeah,
that?
you went
and
on a run. Yeah.
went on a run at the end. So it was a big surprise, but we were glad you won because you were one of the people that actually communicated with us the whole time, commented on the videos, stayed connected. What were your thoughts on the fantasy league as someone, and you said it was your first fantasy league, I believe, or first or second?
Yeah, it was my second. Last year was the tryout. I failed big time, and
What a bounce
it was
back.
on another app. Yeah, first time I looked into the draft and what players you should get first. I thought the most important one is a quarterback, so you need a quarterback at first. Last year I picked Mahomes, which was quite good, but he was like the only good player for me back then. This year I picked Tyreek, which did
Oh, is that
fantastic, like the
paid off?
first 12 weeks or so.
Yeah.
But I had to change a lot of players up, man. I had Kenny Pickett as my quarterback, and the backup was Aaron Rodgers. So, but I was able to pick up Purdy. He
Yeah.
was a free agent then. Nobody picked him, and I think that's different with like a 10-player league. I played in a 20-player league last year,
Jeez.
so you don't have a lot of room for other players then. But that helped me out a lot because he was a great quarterback for me. My season went like the Broncos. I started 3-1, and then I lost 5 or 6, and then I won to the end.
Last,
So that was
Why not? Yeah, you had a really good team. Purdy, Kenneth Walker, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, my boy Jaden Reed for the Packers played really good down the stretch.
he was really good. Yeah,
Really
I
good.
didn't know him.
Yeah.
Did you
He
want
came
to
out of
pick
nowhere.
him or?
I don't think anyone picked him. But
no,
he
he's
came
saying,
out of,
did you want to pick him, Hammer? Did you try to pick him up?
I bet I did. But I bet I did, but you got there quicker than I did. But yeah, he was awesome down the stretch. He was getting like 20 points a week. And Steelers defense is always good. Justin Tucker, Javonte Williams, Thielen was good. Did you have him for the beginning of the year? Because he was red hot, and then he kind of,
Yeah, I had him
slowed down.
on the sidelines a lot, but then I saw like he had 1 or 2 games where he had over 20 points. I
Yeah.
think if the Panthers overall had a better team, he would have gone a lot better. He would have scored a lot of more touchdowns, but it was great to have him as a backup actually.
Yeah.
My strategy was most of the time try to pick a wide receiver 1 from the middle to lower teams, because I saw last year that they can also score a lot of points if they just score 1 or 2 touchdowns with their team, even if they lose like 40-12 or 40-14 or something. So that helped me out a lot actually. I had Olave, which was quite decent for the whole season, depending on which quarterback was playing. But
Yeah.
Saints got messed up a little bit, yeah.
what did you think of the news, Jenks?
When Pete Carmichael got fired, I was very happy yesterday. I texted Hammer immediately. I was sitting there in class. I just got to class. It was my first day of classes yesterday, back for the semester, and I see that notification. I was like super happy, but I couldn't really do anything about it because I'm in class. But I texted Hammer and I tweeted out a few different things. I was very, very excited, to say the least. And I think, honestly, I feel like the Broncos will somehow find a way to pick him up. Sean Payton's familiar with him, so even as an assistant, I feel like it could happen for the Broncos. Not something you'd want, but I could see Sean Payton doing it because that's just the kind of guy he is.
Connections. Yeah.
It's bad karma, man.
Exactly. So for all the Broncos fans out there, including yourself, it's not something you look forward to, but I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if I see a notification that they hired him as an assistant somewhere.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I feel like Peyton is making all the decisions, even
Mhm.
as an
Yeah.
even with an OC. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of does his own thing. And that's kind of what he did for the Saints too. He just kind of coached the team, called the plays, did everything over there. And I feel like you guys have a lot to look forward to this year with a good draft pick. And I think you guys might possibly trade up to get a quarterback. So we'll just
yeah,
see what you
but
we'll see.
the difficult thing is what do you want to trade for? Because we have like
Yeah.
nothing, and
No
if
draft
we
picks.
Yeah.
no, if we do lose other draft picks for next year or something, that stings us for
Yeah.
2 or 3 years already with the Wilson trade. And yeah, do you want to trade PS2, possibly the best cornerback in the league?
Probably not.
Yeah, maybe Sutton.
Yeah.
Sutton has
Son.
I think Sutton would be the best trade. Honestly, he had a great year last year. He even had like a little goodbye
Yeah, I
post on
saw that.
Instagram. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I think Judy could be a trade target too.
Yeah, he
He's
was
another
bad.
one. Yeah,
But
he's
what do
just
you get for him?
yeah. I mean, I think if Judy, you probably get tops, maybe the 3rd round pick. I mean, drafted really high, but he hasn't developed. He hasn't kind of became what they
mhm.
wanted him to become. So yeah. But if you had to say what's one thing the Denver Broncos have to do this offseason to put them in the playoffs next year, what would it be?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. I think the defense overall was all right. They had
Yeah.
some
Mhm.
bad games,
The
but
70
overall,
game.
yeah, let's don't talk about that. Um, that was embarrassing. Um, I think they need a quarterback that just sticks to the scheme. And if Russell changes his play, that might help. Like the offensive line was booed at because they had so many sacks, but that happens because Wilson gets out of the pocket, holds the ball for 6 seconds. How are you able to defend that as an O line? That's not possible. They had
Mhm.
one of the best O lines since probably Peyton Manning was here. So honestly, one guy that sticks to the scheme is able to throw in the middle of the field. What is it like within the numbers?
The
Yeah.
He
seams.
Yeah.
Yeah, he threw or 40 yards down the field or to the sides to a running back. That was literally the whole scheme, and that feels so basic somehow. The offense feels really basic despite having such a long list of play calls that Sean Payton has in his hand each game.
Mhm. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was not a
Yeah.
good year.
Yeah, definitely. I think you nailed it on the head because I think Denver's defense, it's always been good. You got a lot of guys on that side of the football, pass catchers, Judy, Sutton, um, running back Javonte Williams had a decent year, good year. Yeah,
P.
and
Ryan,
yeah,
P. Ryan was
P.
pretty
Ryan
good.
too. Yeah, he's really good back. I think number 2 running back for any team. So I think finding that QB position who can play within Sean Payton's scheme. If you get that right, I think because your division too, it's kind of wide open with the Chiefs not playing so hot. The Chargers need to find a head coach, but their defense terrible. The Raiders are
No
always
read.
a mystery. So it's wide open too, heading in the next year. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious what the Raiders will do because they have like Aiden O'Connell, which is not a great quarterback, but I read some news that they want to keep him as QB1,
Oh
which I
gosh.
find difficult.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah,
also
it'll
have
be interesting.
Jimmy G. I don't know what his contract is, but
Yeah. They sent him to a big contract, so that's gonna be interesting to see if they try to dump him somewhere.
yeah,
Probably will.
yeah.
They'll try. They'll try if they can.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think that's
Sounds
all we got, Rude. Thank you for coming on again, and we hope that even in the future we'll keep up with you. We'll talk about the Broncos, everything like that, if they make any big moves. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking with us about being a fan from across a completely different country, way far away from here that neither of us have been to. Um, It really was eye-opening. And thank you for paying attention and actually being so communicative with us and playing along in the fantasy league. We appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be back with one next year and we'll have you in it again.
He's coming for the repeat.
Yeah, you got to go back to back. So
Back to back.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Keep the belt. So that's going to do it. Thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Remember to leave a review and follow all of our social media pages at Jenks Hammer Pod for more content. Until next time, who dat and go Pack Go!